everyone. How are you? How are y'all? My parents, they're both gone now, but they were from Louisiana, so I have a Louisiana accent when I want one. Um, so I could pick it up in a heartbeat. That's where my summers were spent in New Orleans. So I'm Regine Gilbert. I am a user experience designer lead at Ralph Lauren. I do not represent the brand today. I'm representing myself. I also teach at General Assembly, which is a school that teaches user experience, web development, things like that. So today we're going to talk about the value of user experience. How many of you know what user experience is by just raising your hands? Hi. So a majority of you know what it is. That's good. So just a little bit about me. As I said, I am a user experience lead at Ralph Lauren. I'm a former fashion designer turned business analyst, project manager, product manager. I am also a PMP, project management professional. I'm a certified Scrum Master. And I have a very, very strong passion for making the world a more accessible place. What that means for me is I'm an advocate for people with disabilities and making websites that are usable for everyone. So I love this quote because it says a lot about design, and not only about design, but the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you do products, maybe you do service, but this is important. It is not enough that we build products that function, that are understandable and usable. We also need to build products that bring joy, excitement, pleasure, and fun, and yes, beauty to people's lives. How many of you do that? Yes, I love it. We should all be doing that. In whatever it is we're doing, we want to make sure that we bring joy. You want to feel good. So, we're going to do an activity. As a UX instructor, I said I wanted to do an activity. So, everybody in front of you, you should have a Post-it. There should be a Post-it on the chair in front of you. There should be 2 Post-its. And you all should have pins because you got the goodie bags and they have pins in there. For those of you in the front row, I thought about you too. Underneath the seat. See, this is good UX. Underneath the seat, there are 2 Post-its. So, what we're going to do for 1 minute, you guys are going to draw a vase or vase, however you want to say it. You're going to draw a vase on this Post-it. You all know what a vase looks like. You make it, however you want to do it. So we're going to do that I'm going to give you guys 1 minute because I have a timer here. Your 1 minute starts now. All right, guys. How was that? Did you draw something? Okay. Amazing. So the next thing I'm going to have you guys do, I want you now to we'll probably take a minute, not 2, but take a minute to design a better way for people to enjoy flowers in their home. What's a better way for people to enjoy flowers in their home? Draw that now on the second Post-it you have. Okay, now I want you to take 1 minute and share it with the person right next to you. Tell them how you're going to make it better. So the reason why I had you draw a vase the first time was because that's similar to what a product is. That's the product, right? A vase. When I asked you to design a better experience for somebody to enjoy flowers in their home, that's a user experience. And there's a difference. There's something that's just a product that just holds the vase. But when you talk about, I spoke with you about what you made, and it was a suction cup to put flowers on a mirror, so when you're getting ready in the morning, you could see that, and that feels good, right? And at the end of the day, user experience is a feeling. Earlier, Michael was talking about United, and he had a good experience at United. He felt good with that experience. At the end of the day, you know when you feel good when you use something, and you know when you don't. How many of you have used a website that just sucks? Right. You don't feel good. You can't get things done. That's bad UX. How many of you guys have used websites that are good? You know when something's good, you don't notice it. You're able to do whatever it is that you want to do. So what is UX? I like this. For those of you who may not be able to see this, there is a park. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen this here, right, in your town. There's a park, there's a path. Somebody beautifully designed this park, and they put the bricks, and they laid everything down, and they did the nice. And then somebody decides, you know what? It takes too long to turn this corner. Why can't we just walk straight through? This was the design. This is the user experience. Why? Because it's easier. And what we end up doing as users of anything is finding shortcuts and workarounds. We all do it at work. We have systems, they suck, so we have to work around it, or we have to use multiple systems to use it. So I like this because you'll hear sometimes UX, UI, user interface, user experience. What's the difference? I found this and I love it because this is cereal. Does everybody eat cereal, or have you eaten cereal in your life? I think everybody has, so you can relate. So the cereal is the content. It's what people are looking for. The spoon is the user interface. It's what serves it up. And consuming the cereal is the user experience. Does that make sense for everybody? I think it's the easy. When I explain this, I actually tried to explain this to an academic the other day, and he was like, but the experience actually starts for me with the box. Okay, you can't. Sometimes you cannot win when you're arguing with an academic. So, yes, it does start with. If we want to get technical about it, let's start with the whole supply chain. We could go there, but I think this is a good way of showing content, user interface, and user experience. Any football fans in the house? Yes. Okay, I am too. New Orleans Saints. I'll just say it. Who dat? So, this was a game that happened 2 years ago. Does anybody know about the color rush? You do, yes. So these two teams, one team here, the Jets, is wearing all green, and the Buffalo Bills is wearing all red. It's a cool concept, right? We love our colors. There was a problem with this. When this game happened, Twitter blew up. People were angry. They were angry because they couldn't tell which team was their team. They were so upset. It was bad. You know why? About 13 million people in the US are red-green colorblind. And they saw the game like this. Is this good user experience? No, it's not. So seeing the game like this, things had to change, and the following year they did. So in 2015, the NFL admitted this. Color rush uniforms, through the testing phases, it forgot to account for colorblind users, fans. So in 2016, and I don't know how many of you noticed this, but there were teams wearing white. And the reason is because of what happened in 2015. They had to change the uniforms. And so this goes back to thinking about who is going to be using your product. Think about who is going to be using your service. Have you put yourself in their shoes to have an understanding of how they're going to use your stuff? How are they going to view your stuff? How are they going to use your service? So that leads me to design thinking. How many of you have heard of design thinking? Anyone in here? A few of you. So that means a lot of you don't know what it is, which is cool. I think we're all designers, right? We're all designers. We design the way we do our jobs. We figure out workarounds. We do all kinds of things. Design thinking is a process, a methodology, if you will, that a lot of companies like Google use. Jonica spoke about her company thinking about the users first. Why? Because they empathize. And that's where you start with design thinking. You start with empathy. You start with an understanding of your user. And then you define what it is they're looking for. Then you brainstorm, you go through ideas, you prototype and you build something, and then you test. And you're constantly looking at who, what, where, when, why, how throughout the process. Is somebody on the phone, on their cell phone when they use your product? Are they at home? Are they using a tablet? Are they using a desktop? What are they using? So design thinking is used by major corporations, IBM, GE, Apple is a big one. How many people have iPhones in here? A lot of you. How is the packaging? Isn't it beautiful? It's so nice. It's just nice to open up that package. You know why? Because they thought about it. They thought about you opening that package and how nice it is to take out the headphones and take out, oh, let me lift this thing. That's nice, right? Samsung and Google also use design thinking. So the first step is understanding and empathy. You have to understand who's going to be using your product or service. And then you define the problem. As a UX designer, I'm a problem solver. That's my job. It's to solve problems, make things better, make things more usable. Brainstorm ideas. If you have a team, you can discuss these ideas, get Post-its, come up with an idea, start writing them out. And then prototyping and testing. Always, always, always. For me, this talk is a prototype in a lot of ways, because although I do it all the time, it's a different setting, it's a different environment, it's different people. And every time I do a talk, I feel like it's a prototype, because it's never the same. And then testing the solution. Does it work? Can I try it with a few people to see if it does? It's worth a shot. And that leads me to storytelling. How many of you are good storytellers? How many of you tell stories? Okay, we all tell stories, right? And it's important. And those who tell the stories rule society. Good stories go a long way. Bad stories go a long way too. But I just wanted to discuss really quick. There's many ways of storytelling. There's the hero journey. We all love a good hero. But there's also this one I like a lot, which is called the Duarte Method. And it's think about a problem that you guys have in your day-to-day. And how could you solve for that problem? I like this method because you think of what is, you think of the current state, and then you think about what it could be, and what it is, and what it could be, and what it is, and what it could be. When you think of that problem of what it is and what it could be, how you can make things better, then you could start focusing on solutions. And looking at that from your user's perspective will help you be a better problem solver and ultimately make better decisions for your company, your service, or whatever it is you're providing. So the design thinking principles I threw in here because I think they're good. There's 10 of them, there's a lot. But how many of you guys have this mess going on sometimes with yeah, we all do. But somehow you want to get to here. You want to straighten that out. So you have your wicked problems, you got a problem solving path, and then you evolve your solution. So design thinking is action oriented. So you want to take action. You want to say, where am I going to start? What is the real problem? You want to support change with that. You want to make sure you kind of account for those situations. You want to mitigate risks. You want to think of the different scenarios that may apply to that situation. You want to focus on the human, focus on the person who's going to be dealing with this. Not only from the side of your users potentially, but maybe the people who work for you. How will they handle these things? You want to develop foresight. Again, you want to think about these things. You want to iterate. Things go, nothing is ever done once. I like to say this a lot. In 1998, when a website was built, you would just throw it up there and leave it, right? You would never look at it again. There's a wonderful site called the Wayback Machine. Has anybody looked at that? If you look at Yahoo's site from 1998, it's fun. I like doing it. It's just a bunch of link. Again, Iterate. Nothing stays the same. Amazon literally changes their website every minute. Something is changing on that site every minute. So you want to promote empathy, which has been discussed throughout the day. Think of who will be using your product. Think of who will be using your service. And that has to somehow align with your business goals. You have to do both. It's a fine line. You want to reduce risk. You want to create shared meaning. What does this mean for me? What does this mean for my user? You want to rely on adaptable process. You want to be able to change when you need to change and not just stick with one way. Because there's one thing that I can't stand to hear is we've always done it that way. I always say that's the death of creativity when people say that. Because if you are not willing to try something new, then you're always going to be stuck. So you have to be adaptable and combine logic and creativity. So you want to be creative, but you also want to look at your data, right? You need to look at that data and say, okay, this is what we know, and then this is what we can do. So this is a little quantifiable value of user experience efforts. I say everyone should be doing UX. You should all be incorporating design thinking and thinking about your user first. You'll see increased overall project success rate, a reduce in development costs, and increased revenue due to stronger user adoption. Because if you try something, let's say with a smaller group of people, and it fails, it's much better than you sending that out broadly and then failing big. So it's like these little things you can do and test and try that I think are important. And lastly, I love this quote, and I'm leaving you with this because I believe in that we should never stop learning. I actually met a nice man who used to be a television reporter a few days ago, and he's retired, and he went to do a fellowship at this, and he's much old. He's in his close to his 80s, but he decided to do a fellowship in public policy, and he's talking about media and technology, and he's the most fascinating man I've ever met. And I said, I want to be like him, and I never want to stop learning. And so I think it's great that you all here to learn and continue to learn and share what you learn, because I love this quote: I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Never stop learning. And thank you for your time.